Thank you for attending the Office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's training webinar on the new case management system for the Domestic Relations Division. I am Dorothy Brown, the Clerk of the Circuit Court, and I will serve as the moderator for the panel discussion segment of this training. The primary purpose of this training and the series of webinars that we are hosting is to introduce to the civil case filing community the new civil case management system, ODYSSEY. Although ODYSSEY was introduced in the county division in 2018, we're close to rolling it out for the entire civil case filing community. This will be a momentous occasion because we will be replacing an over 40-year mainframe system. We rolled out the criminal division portion of the system in November of 2019. During this last few months, during the pandemic, we have continued to program the civil areas of law as well as the traffic area of law. This webinar is about the new case management system, and the new scheduling function is the primary focus of this webinar because it has the most changes. The Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County is responsible for preserving and maintaining all court files and papers, making and keeping a complete record of all proceedings and the determination of the court cases, collecting court fines and fees, and performing other duties as required by law. The Court Operations and Administration section of the Office of the Clerk of the Circuit Court is organized into 5 boroughs and the Civil Appeals Division. 4 boroughs are organized by types of cases heard, and they are the First Municipal Civil, Traffic, Probation, and County Bureau, Family Law, Chancery, and Law Bureau, the Criminal Bureau, and the Suburban Bureau. The 5th borough is Records Management, which provides file management services to the 4 other court operations boroughs. Today's training focuses on the Domestic Relations Division, which is part of the Family, Chancery, and Law Bureau, which consists of the Domestic Relations, Child Support, the Chancery, and Law Division. Just a little overview of the Domestic Relations Division. It's located in the Richard Day Daley Center, 50 West Washington, room 802. The number is 312-603-6300. The Honorable Grace G. Dickler is the presiding judge. In my office is Ms. Dawn Porter. She is the associate clerk for the Family, Chancery, and Law Bureau. Ms. Latasha McGarry is the chief deputy clerk of the Domestic Relations Division. And Ms. Taraya Clay is the assistant chief deputy clerk of the Domestic Relations Division. The Domestic Relations Division's actions or proceedings seeking an order of judgment relating to dissolution of marriage or civil union. It includes declaration of invalidity of marriage or civil union or legal separation, child support and maintenance, allocation of parental responsibilities and visitation, non-parent, arising under the Illinois Marriage and Dissolution of Marriage Act, the Illinois Religious Freedom, Protection, and Civil Union Act, the Hague Convention, the Illinois Parentage Act of 1984, the Illinois Public Aid Code, the Illinois Uniform Premarital Agreement Act, Non-Support of Spouse and Children Act, Non-Support Punishment Act, Revised Uniform Reciprocal Enforcement of Support Act, Uniform Interstate Family Support Act, Expedited Child Support Act, Income Withholding for Support Act, Emancipation of Mature Minors Act, Uniform Child Support Jurisdiction Enforcement Act, Rights of Married Persons Act, and all other related acts. Such proceedings also include all post-judgment matters relating thereto and proceedings for civil orders of protection filed in conjunction with domestic relations matters involving the same parties pursuant to the Domestic Violence Act of 1986, except for those matters heard in the Domestic Violence Division. Domestic Relations Division case types include civil order of protection, joint petition for simplified dissolution, legal separation, petition for allocation of parental responsibilities, petition for declaration of invalidity, petition for dissolution, petition for visitation, non-parent. Domestic Relations Division case files generally include the following: petitions, summonses, motions, responses, pleadings, court orders, and judgments. The Domestic Relations Division records maintained are: the case types include dissolution, legal separation, and invalidity for both marriages and civil unions, as well as allocation of parental responsibilities and parenting time or visitation, non-parent. Dates of records include from 1871 to present. The courts are circuit. There was circuit and superior court from 1871 to 1963. Various suburban municipal courts circa 1900 to 1963. Domestic Relations Division from 1964 to present. The available indices include circuit court and superior court, both plaintiff and defendant on microfilm, 1871 to 1963. Divorce Division on microfilm, 1964 to 1985. Chicago Heights, Calumet City, Blue Island, approximately 1900 to 1964. And docket books and clerk's records books from 1871 to 1985. And the electronic docket from 1986 to present. The Imaging and Document Management System was implemented in June 2012 in the Domestic Relations Division. It functions as a central repository of imaged court documents. Once scanned, a document can be retrieved using the clerk's office's electronic docket, and with a click on the screen, an image of the court document can be viewed. The IDMS technology greatly enhanced the efficiency of the clerk's office's day-to-day operations and is a substantial benefit to clerk's office customers who are able to view the scanned court documents via a digital access terminal throughout the clerk's office. About the CLE for this particular webinar. 1 hour of CLE credit is available for attorneys attending this entire training session on scheduling in the county division and the entire new case management system. The time length of attendance is verified in a Zoom report. More information about how to receive your CLE certificate will be given at the end of this session. Now, you will be allowed to add questions to the Q&A section of this screen. And during the webinar, we will answer your questions. At the end of the webinar, during the Q&A section, any questions remaining, when there are questions remaining, I will read those questions out and have the panel to answer them. If there are any questions remaining after the 5:30 closeout time, then we will be sending those questions, those answers to you following the webinar. We will send you actually all of the questions and answers following this webinar, as well as we will send you the PowerPoint of this webinar. Now, I would like to introduce to you a person that is so dynamic and works so closely with the clerk's office to help to serve the citizens of Cook County. We really love working with this presiding judge, and we're happy to have her on today, the Honorable Grace G. Dickler.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this presentation. I would first be remiss in not lauding both Clerk Brown and all the members of her staff for how hard they have worked to get together this system. And particularly, I'm very happy, Clerk Brown, that you're able to launch it during your tenure, because I know that this has been a real labor of love for you. And I think that it's going to be just an excellent system, and it's going to make our lives so much easier once it is rolling. I would like to say that with regard to the Domestic Relations Division, due to all the issues related to COVID and how long everything takes when we're Zooming versus in person, that we did ask the clerk's office to cease scheduling cases such as motions and so forth for the Domestic Relations Division to allow the individual judge to schedule their own cases, because they would have a better handle on how long everything was going to take. We are, however, in the process of putting together a plan, and we are going to request that the clerk's office commence scheduling some of the cases again. And we're hoping that that will start in approximately October 19th. But of course, that depends on us a little bit to make sure that we are able to actually get the request into the clerk's office in sufficient time for them to be able to do that by that date. But that's our goal. It will not be going back to the way it was 100%, because there are certain items that really do take a lot longer. So that's where we're at with regard to the new system. So you should not be expecting anything new with the Domestic Relations Division in terms of scheduling until at least October 19th. And again, thank you very much for inviting me to participate and for all the work that you have been doing. Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Judge Dickler, and thank you for recognizing my staff and the work that they have been doing with your office. And thank you for letting the filing community know when they can potentially see scheduling going back through the clerk's office. Of course, once we receive your general order, we will then be sending out e-notifications to those that we have email addresses for, and then of course post office postcard notifications to those that we do not. So thank you, Judge Dickler, for appearing with us. Judge Dickler is going to stay with us as long as possible, and she will be available to answer questions in the Q&A section of this screen. I'd like to just go over the agenda for today so that you know exactly how it's going to go. I'm going to be introducing our executive clerk for court operations, Ms. Renee Banks, who is who's over all of the various divisions. Then the associate clerk for the family law and domestic relations and chancery division and law bureau, Ms. Dawn Porter, will give you the goals and objectives for the webinar, and then I will introduce each panelist to you. The panel will give our T&I, Technology and Innovations Chief Information Officer, will give you a historical perspective of the clerk's office technology. We have a Tyler Technology representative to give you a general overview of how the ODYSSEY case management system works. And then we will get to how to schedule in ODYSSEY, and that is where the Chief Deputy Clerk of Domestic Relations and our project manager for ODYSSEY scheduling will speak to you. And then we will talk about how the public will access, because that will change. And you're going to find that you're going to have even more access to certain data with our system once we go to ODYSSEY. And then there has been a change in electronic notification of cases and case management notices, and you will get an update on that. And then we will have the question and answer. This webinar is expected to go to 5:30. So next I would like to introduce Ms. Renee Banks, Executive Clerk for Court Operations Administration. Renee has been with the clerk's office for 35 years, and she has come up through the ranks, and we're just happy to have her in this position. Ms. Banks.
Thank you, Clerk Brown, and good afternoon. I'm very happy to have so many attendees join us for the Clerk of the Circuit Court of Cook County's training webinar on the new case management system for the Domestic Relations Division. In my role as the Executive Clerk of Court Operations and Administration, I've had the pleasure of being closely involved in the ongoing implementation of the new ODYSSEY case management system for both the criminal and the civil areas. I see firsthand the significant upgrades that are being made to our business processes and the great improvement taking place in our ability to best serve the users of the clerk's office in all the areas of law. The many members of the clerk's office court operations staff have been working diligently in the process of converting to this new technology, especially our senior and management staff. We greatly appreciate all of the effort that they have committed to ensuring the success of this major innovation. Now at this time, I am proud to introduce one of my direct reports, Ms. Dawn Porter, Esquire, the Associate Clerk of the Family Chancery Law Bureau, which includes domestic relations. Don, who has worked with the clerk's office for 19 years, will share with you the goals and objectives of today's webinar. Thank you so much, Dawn.
Thank you, Ms. Banks. I appreciate that introduction. And good afternoon to everyone. I am eager to share with all of our attendees the goals and objectives of today's training webinar on the new case management system and how that will impact the Domestic Relations Division. Overall, today's webinar provides a step-by-step preview of the processes involved in scheduling new cases and motions into domestic relations when e-filing into the upcoming new case management system. This webinar also includes important information on how the public will access and search civil case data via the clerk's office website and on the digital access terminals that are located all throughout the clerk's office locations. Also included in this training is information on the new Supreme Court rules on electronic notification of case management notices. The two rules were amended on July 15th, 2020 and are effective immediately. The objectives of today's webinar will be expressed via the panelists' separate presentations that cover the clerk's office's legacy documenting system, our initiative to implement an integrated case management system, the ODYSSEY system, which is our new platform, the specific scheduling processes, accessing civil case information, and more. We will also have a question and answer session that is important to us as we want to receive your feedback on this case information, on the, the system changes. Overall, our goal is to provide a comprehensive presentation that will serve to enhance court users' understanding of the innovations that are coming into the Domestic Relations Division through our new case management system. So again, thank you for your time and attention. And now I'll turn it over to Clerk Brown for further facilitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Porter, for that presentation. And Ms. Porter has been with our office for a number of years and has done an outstanding job in all of the different areas that we have had her to work in. Now, I'd like to bring to you Mr. Anthony McPherson and to talk to you, give you a little historical perspective on the evolution of technology in the clerk's office and what brought us to this ODYSSEY case management system. Mr. McPherson?
Yeah, thank you, Clerk Brown, and good afternoon all. So Clerk Brown established 5 strategic pillars to drive improvements in the clerk's office, the courts, and our support of our customers, which includes our public sector agencies, law enforcement, attorneys as yourselves, pro se litigants, and the general public. One of those 5 strategic pillars is the 21st century technology. This pillar is all about deploying technology and information strategies and solutions and pulling the clerk of the circuit court into the 21st century. We have met the goals of this strategic pillar many times through key technology initiatives. I'd like to highlight just a few for you. We have implemented a robust technology infrastructure to move information and data quickly. We connected all of our offices in every courtroom and branch court with high-speed data network and rolled out email to all 2,300 of our employees. We also documented every process in the office from the counter to the courtroom and placed the documentation on our internal website to begin normalizing operations and customer service across all of our facilities. Excuse me, we also automated courts. We automated the 2 remaining areas of the court that were writing orders to old docket books. Probate division, where we use one of our legacy document systems as a template, and county division, where we piloted the use of a more robust case management solution. We also strengthened our financial controls, security, and integration with other technology solutions. Here we implement an integrated cashiering and security system to put a common front end on multiple disparate docketing systems to streamline and normalize our operations at the point of receiving filings and to improve our financial controls, as well as reducing duplicate data entry. We've improved records management by implementing a records management system to track the location of all of our files, all of our case files, be it in the courtroom, a judge's chambers, active filed within a division, filed as an inactive out at our record center, or in transit between district offices. We've also improved access to documents by implementing an imaging and document management system solution to eliminate microfilming orders, reduce having to take case files to courtrooms, to provide access to image case documents to the judiciary and to the public at our digital access terminals, which are commonly referred to as our DATs. We've also improved access to our information. We provided various ways to access case files and to obtain next court dates, including through an IVR system, which is a telephone system. You dial a number and you can access your case information through that number. Our website, through e-notices, and our mobile app. And our mobile app you can download on our website at any time. We encourage you to do so. We also, Clerk Brown was actually ahead of the curve with implementing e-file. So she petitioned the Administrative Office of Illinois Courts to approve us piloting e-filing for many of our civil case files before it was mandatory. But in July of 2018, we successfully implemented mandatory e-filing through eFile Illinois as well for all of our civil case types. So those are some of the key technology accomplishments of this office, which kind of leads us to where we are today, domestic relations case management system, which you want to hear more about. So the new case management system will replace our outdated mainframe docketing systems with an investment in a single integrated enterprise-wide case management solution. There are a few things to keep in mind related to our legacy electronic docketing systems that I want you to think about as we go through this presentation. So these systems are roughly 40 years old, as the clerk mentioned earlier. They were built on older technologies and outdated file structures. They still have old green screen user interfaces. And because they're older systems, it takes longer to respond to programming changes when required. And technical expertise to support these technologies are retiring, either non-existent or at a significant premium at this time. So that's the old system, that's the legacy system. We're here to talk about the new case management system, our enterprise-wide solution. So a couple things you need to keep in mind about this system. In 2016, the clerk's office issued an RFP for an integrated case management system for all areas of law. Then After an exhaustive evaluation process for that new case management system, we selected the ODYSSEY case management solution in 2017. We completed a $36 million contract for the software, its configuration, its implementation, and all required hardware. That project was launched officially in April of 2017, and in February of 2018, we went live with the new case management system in our county division. In 2019, criminal areas of law, both adult and juvenile, went live in November. We are now set to go live with civil areas of law and traffic in early fall. So I hope this information provided you with historical background of the clerk's office technology journey. So thank you very much for your time. Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Mr. McPherson. And we have really challenged him since he came on board as the Chief Information Officer, and he has really met the challenge. Next, we want to tell you about the new case management system, the ODYSSEY case management system. We want to tell you what it is and what benefits it will bring to all of our court users. And here today we have Mr. Christian Font from Tyler Technologies. Christian?
Hi, thank you, Clerk Brown. So Cook County is entering an exciting phase in the ongoing enhancement of its business operations. With the implementation of ODYSSEY case management system in Cook County, Clerk Brown is helping to bring the clerk's office into the 21st century. The efficiencies and optimized functionalities of the ODYSSEY case management system will greatly benefit the clerk's office staff in their daily tasks, court users in their interactions with the court system, and citizens of Cook County access to justice. So what is ODYSSEY? ODYSSEY is a suite of software products that supports our courts and justice system. The flagship offering of the suite is called ODYSSEY Case Manager, which is a product that automates and coordinates court cases through the legal process from the time the case is filed to the time that the case is disposed. ODYSSEY Case Manager was introduced in 2002 and is now in use in 31 states, 16 of which are statewide implementations. And we serve over 1,000 counties. 16 of those are the 20th largest county of the US. What is File and Serve? So File and Serve, many of you already know what File and Serve is. You guys know it as eFile Illinois. It's a state-of-the-art platform for the electronic filing of case documents, creating a paperless process for courts, the public, and the legal communities like yourself. How is ODYSSEY in use in Illinois? So ODYSSEY is in use in Kane, Peoria, Tazewell, and now Cook County. We implemented ODYSSEY in Cook County in 4 stages. We did the county division first, then criminal and juvenile, and as it was mentioned, we're doing civil, chancery, law, probate, and domestic next, and then we'll finish with traffic. Cook County is going to use ODYSSEY Case Manager. The clerks in the courtroom will be using what we call Clerk Edition. The judges on the bench will be using Judge Edition. The finance team is going to be using Financial Manager, and as well as Tyler's File and Serve, which is the solution that powers their eFile Illinois. What some of the benefits of ODYSSEY include increases access to justice by allowing attorneys as yourselves and self-represented litigants to file cases online at their own convenience. It expedites processing of court cases and increases data transparency. It automates courtroom tasks by enabling clerks to rapidly access and enter critical data directly in the courtroom. It allows judges, their staff, and the clerk's office to easily generate hundreds of report types using standard and customized templates. It gives judges immediate, secure access to critical case information using a touch screen right from the bench, providing both a high level and a very detailed view as well. It allows the court staff, law enforcement agencies, and other justice partners to easily access case file data on multiple parties, cases, and charges. It reduces the data entry duplication and errors submitted by submitting data directly into ODYSSEY. It eliminates paper from the courtroom. It enables the capturing of electronic signatures on court documents. It costs much less to maintain than outdated legacy systems and reduces storage costs for paper files. It easily integrates with other Tyler softwares, enabling a common interface that simplifies and reduces duration of training for users while streamlining IT processes. One example of that streamlining process for the IT staff that has been very useful during this pandemic is the ability to reschedule hearings en masse based on judicial orders. Currently, it takes programmers weeks to reschedule hearings. For county division, criminal, and juvenile, which have been live in ODYSSEY, it has taken less than 30 minutes. So after 40 years of relying on traditional mainframe technology, Clerk Brown is bringing the Cook County Clerk of the Circuit Court into the 21st century with our state-of-the-art web-based solutions. With county, criminal, and juvenile court implementations now completed, Tyler looks forward to working with Clerk Brown to complete implementations in the remaining Cook County courts to make Clerk Brown's vision a reality. Clerk Brown?
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Christian, for that presentation on ODYSSEY Case Management System. I want to thank you for your hard work in working with the clerk's office in getting this done. So now we want to get to the new case management system and how you will schedule new cases as well as schedule motions. And to do that, we have our project manager. Now, she is the Chief Deputy Clerk of the Civil Appeals Division, so you will probably recognize her from that. But with this system, because she has so many years of experience with the clerk's office, she is the project manager for scheduling. So we're going to bring to you Ms. Sue Wellfell, who will also have Ms. Latasha McGarry to assist. Sue?
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Good afternoon, everybody. So as you heard Judge Dickler say a little bit earlier, right now we are not scheduling through our e-filing system, and that will probably still be the case when we go live with our new case management system. However, we have designed it so that once we are able to schedule cases through e-filing again, we're going to be showing you those changes that'll be different from how you e-file today. You also heard from Judge Dickler, however, though, that there could be some additional changes coming. So as soon as they send us that PMO to make those changes, as Clerk Brown mentioned, we will be notifying you of any changes to what you're going to be seeing or hearing from me today. But I'm going to get started with new cases. The way it's designed right now is that it will work, new case scheduling will work the same as it did prior to COVID, again, unless there's any changes coming forth from that PMO request. The one thing that's different here, however, is that domestic violence will no longer be its own location in the location section. So currently today, when you start a new case, if you're trying to file a civil domestic relations item, an order of protection or a stalking no contact order, you would search for the location of domestic violence. However, both domestic violence and domestic relations will be located in the domestic relations location. So once you click Start a New Case, as you see here in the upper left of the first screenshot, you would be selecting Cook County Domestic Relations, and then in this example, District 1, Chicago. Once you select that location, you will have a number of categories in the category section that again will now encompass both domestic relations and domestic violence. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to the Chief Deputy Clerk of Domestic Relations, Latasha McGarry, to discuss those category types with you right now. Latasha?
Thank you, Sue, and hello, everyone. Domestic relations, the starting point for the category is what you will go and select for your new case filing. Within this category, below you have domestic relations general proceeding, domestic relations parentage and child support. With those two, you can go over to the case type. We're going to start with the domestic relations general proceeding. You will go to the case type and you will be able to select your new petition for dissolution of marriage or a joint petition for joint simplified, which is a simplified divorce. You also, in that first category, you can select domestic relations state's attorney's filings, which are generally filed by the state's attorneys when they're representing the petitioner or the respondent. As Sue mentioned earlier about domestic violence, the civil protection orders, as well as domestic violence elder law, that those services are now added into our category. In the case type, when you're selecting for domestic relations parentage / child support, as I named before, you will be selecting a petition for allocation of parental responsibility, as well as petition for establishing child support, or Article 10. And those are for the petition for allocation of parental responsibility if the parent signs the birth certificate as well as a VAMP, which is also called a volunteer acknowledgement of parental. When you're selecting the petition to establish a child support for Article 10, those are specifically for litigants who are seeking child support and the parties are still married. When you're filing for domestic relations general proceedings for a petition for dissolution, there are certain documents that is required. You would need to make sure that you have a petition. If it's for an uncontested divorce, meaning both parties are in agreement, you would need your petition, you would need a cover sheet, as well as an appearance to file those documents. But the appearance is filed by the respondent, not the petitioner. So I'm going to turn it back into the hands of Sue, and we'll come back and discuss later more about the filing for domestic relations petitions and what documents is needed. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Latasha. So once you've selected your location, your category, and your case type, you would hit Save Changes in the lower right-hand corner, and then you'd be moving on to the next section of the envelope. The next section is going to be the case cross-reference section. This will look the same as it does today, where you're going to type your 5-digit attorney code in the case cross-reference number box. And if you're a self-represented litigant, you'll be typing 99500 as your attorney code. And then in the case cross-reference type box, which is in the middle of the first screenshot here, you'd be selecting Cook County Attorney Self-Represented Litigant Code. You then select your Add Case Cross-Reference Number, and that will move all of that information you just typed and selected down below the black line as you see here in the second screenshot in the lower portion of the screen. You will then click Save Changes to move on to the next section as you do today. The next section is the party information. For domestic relations, you'll be entering information about a petitioner and a respondent. If you notice, there are some boxes that are highlighted in red. Red boxes are required fields for you to fill out. However, we do request that you fill out as much information about each party as you have available to you. If for some reason, if your party is a business or an agency, you would check the box on the left-hand side towards the top, and that would change these 3 fields into a single field for a business or agency name. And you'll see on the next screen, once you start typing in a field, other fields may become required. When you first came to the party section, the address fields were not required fields. However, once you start typing an address in address line 1, the city, state, and zip code become required. So as you go through this, you may find that some fields you fill out will make other fields required that weren't previously required when you first started your envelope. So once you enter all your party information about both your petitioner and your respondent, you're going to click Save Changes in the party section to move on to the next section. This is where you're going to start selecting your filings. For your very first filing of your envelope, we request, you may have additional filings you're going to make in addition to your complaint or petition, but we request that your first filing that you make is your complaint or petition. So in the filing code section, which is highlighted in red as a required field, you would hit the drop-down arrow and you would find the line item that starts with complaint or petition. You're going to highlight that, and then it's going to bring you to a series of 4 boxes that are not required fields. They're optional and you're able to use them at your discretion. You could add a filing description, a client reference number, a email address for courtesy copies. These fields here are again not required and they're there for your discretion. If we go to the next screen. So the next required section you'll see is the lead document, and this is where you're going to upload your PDF that's going to correspond to your complaint or petition filing code that you selected. So in the middle of the screen on the left-hand side, you're going to see the words lead document and then red required, and then an up arrow underneath computer in the box. You're going to click on that up arrow and it's going to bring you a browse box to navigate to the location on your computer where the PDF of your complaint or petition is located. You're going to upload that and then you'll be asked to select a security, either non-confidential or confidential. If you're selecting confidential, you need to have obtained an order to file that document under seal, and you need to also upload that order along with the document to file it as confidential. Once you've uploaded your document, the last option here is to add optional services and fees. You would click on that, and if you see here on the right-hand side of your screen is a list of the possible optional services and fees that are available to you in domestic relations with your new case. Once you've added your optional services and fees, or if you have no optional services and fees to add, you would click Save Changes to save your first document that you uploaded. If you have additional documents to upload, if you see on the first screenshot here on the right-hand side, you see a box with a plus sign that says Add Another Filing. If you click on that Add Another Filing, it's going to bring you back to a new filing code box, like we first saw when we selected our complaint or petition. You would then navigate to any additional document that you might want to add in addition to your complaint or petition. And the list of domestic relations new case additional filing options is shown here in a list on the right-hand side. I'm now going to turn it back to Latasha McGarry to discuss some of these options with you. Latasha, you need to unmute, please.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. So thanks, Sue. Under the filing code, when you're filing a new petition, you would need a certificate of dissolution, which is a half sheet that some refer to, as well as a cover sheet. When you're utilizing a cover sheet and you did not, let's say you forgot to upload it with your petition, you then can file that cover sheet as an exhibit and utilize that in the filing as a filing code. Now I'll turn it back over to Sue.
Thank you. So once you've selected your additional filing code that you want to upload a new document for, you're going to follow the same steps that we just outlined in filing your complaint or petition. You're going to click on the arrow by lead document, upload your additional document, select the security, and save changes. You'll do this as many times as you have additional documents to file in this envelope for your new case. Once you've uploaded all of the documents that you'd like to submit for your new case, you're then going to be brought to the payment section of your envelope. This is where you can review the fees that are being assessed for this filing. You're going to select your payment account and the party responsible for fees, or the party that you're representing, or yourself if you're representing yourself. This is also how these documents are going to write to our electronic docket as being filed on behalf of. Once you've filled out those two mandatory fields, again, you're going to click Save Changes. You're going to then view the submission agreements. If you agree to those submission agreements, you're going to put a check in that box next to Important Notice. And then you have two options at the bottom of this screen. If you're not ready to file this with the clerk's office, you could click Save as Draft, and resume it at a later time from your draft envelope. However, if you are ready to file this with the clerk's office, you're going to click Summary and be brought to a summary review screen. Here's where you can review all of the selections that you made in those previous sections of your envelope. If you see something that is incorrect and you'd like to go back and fix it, at the very bottom of the screen, you have a back button. You could go back and you could go into any of those sections that we previously showed you and correct anything that may have been done incorrectly. If everything looks good and you're ready to submit, you're going to click the blue Submit button. So when we designed this, it was our assumption that scheduling for new cases would function the same as they do today. So you will see this request hearing box. As you do today, you would select Do Not Schedule. You're not going to get a case at the time of filing of the new case. You would need to schedule a motion in order to have a court date on your new domestic relations case. Prior to COVID-19, if no hearing had been scheduled on a case within 4 to 6 months, the system would auto-generate a case status date. The parties are then notified via postcard or e-notice. So unless we're told differently, that practice will continue once we begin scheduling dates through the clerk's office and through e-filing again. So if any of you here also schedule domestic relations cases in the suburban locations, the suburban parentage cases that currently get a return date that is a court date at time of filing, again, unless there's any changes coming forth, that will be the same. You would do that here in the return date section as you do today. So if you see here in the upper left, in the first screenshot, where it says select a return date and verify, you see an icon that looks like a calendar with the number 10 in it. You could click on that calendar, and then you would be brought a calendar as you see in the lower screenshot, and you could select the return date, which is a court date, that you would like to request for this case. And then you would click verify. If for some reason that date is not valid, it's not a minimum of 30 days, it's not a valid date for that calendar, it would bring you back the next available date that's closest to the date that you selected. You could always hit the calendar again and keep trying if the date that is brought back to you does not work for you. In addition, if you didn't want to select a date, when you first got to this return date section, you could click verify, and it would bring you the shortest available date for that case and calendar. So that is new case scheduling and how it's going to work with not many changes at this time from how we were scheduling prior to COVID. Next, I'm going to talk about motion scheduling. To schedule a motion, you're going to file into an existing case. Again, you're going to select your location. In this example, Cook County Domestic Relations, District 1, Chicago. And then you're going to enter a case number. For domestic relations cases, you want to enter the full 4-digit century, the single alpha, D, and then enough numeric after the D to make 6 places. So if your case number was 20D25, you would enter it as you see here, 2020D, 4 leading zeros, and 25. No spaces, no dashes, nothing in between those, just all run together. For a domestic violence case with a 2 alpha character OP, you would only enter 5 digits after the 2 alpha character. Once you enter your case number, you're going to click the blue search button. Case information should be displayed to you. You want to verify in the description that those are the case parties that you were looking for and that your case number was entered correctly. If you did not enter your case number correctly, this is not your case, you could click back to search in the lower left corner of this box. If this is the correct case number, on the right-hand side, you'll see the word actions with a drop-down arrow. You would click actions and then file into case. Again, the first section it's going to bring you to here is the case cross-reference number, where again, you'd be entering your 5-digit attorney code or 99500 for self-represented, along with selecting the Cook County Attorney Self-Represented Litigant Code in the case cross-reference type drop-down. You would click add case cross-reference number, and again, that information would drop below the back line. One of the changes I'd like you to note here, if you're familiar with filing a motion today, is that the motion types are no longer going to be located here in the case cross-reference section. They're going to be located in the filing section, which we will show you next. So once you hit save changes with your attorney code, you're going to be brought to the filing section. One of the first mandatory field is for filing code. You use that drop-down arrow, and when you select a motion-related filing code, then you're going to see the motion type box here in the filing section, as you see in the lower picture in the lower right-hand corner. This is where you're now going to select your motion types that you previously selected in the case cross-reference section. So you're going to click the drop-down next to motion type, and you're going to select a motion type. For domestic relations motions, you're going to select a motion type that begins with DR, and for domestic violence cases, you want to select a motion type that begins with DV. On the next screen, you'll see a list of the motion types that are going to be available for each district in case many of you may file domestic relations cases in multiple districts in Cook County. You want to make sure that you're going through the list. They're a little bit different than they were previously. You may have to have a specific motion type for the kind of case that you're filing into, such as a state's attorney filed case, or the type of filer that you are, such as an attorney or a self-represented litigant. So you want to make sure that you go through the entire list of motion types and are selecting the right one for your case type and filing status. It's very important that you select a motion type. If you do not select a motion type, you will not be provided any dates to schedule your motion in the request a hearing once we are scheduling motions again through e-filing. Once you select your motion type, then again, you're going to upload your document in the same lead document section that's required here at the lower part of this screenshot. You'll click on that up arrow. Again, it's going to have you navigate to the location on your computer where that PDF is stored. And again, you're going to select a security, either non-confidential or confidential. And again, as a second reminder, if you are trying to file under seal as confidential, you do need to provide the order that's authorizing you to file under seal. Once you upload your document, you would click Save Changes and be brought again to the payment section, where again you would select your payment account and the party responsible for fees. Click Save Changes, again agree to your submission agreements, and if you're ready to file this motion with the clerk's office, you would click Summary. In the summary section, you may or may not be in the habit of actually reviewing your documents. When you're trying to schedule a motion, I do urge that you at least review the filing section to ensure that you did select a motion type and it is the correct one for the case type that you're trying to file. So when you first get to the screen, it's collapsed and all you can see is the filing code. In this example, motion filed. If you click on that filing code, it will expand that section as you'll see in the next screenshot. And it will allow you to review the motion type that you selected. If you don't see a motion type there, or if you see the wrong motion type, you want to click back at the bottom of your screen and go ahead and select the correct motion type for your filing. If, however, the motion type is there and it is the correct motion type that you meant to select for your case type, you're going to click Submit. And then once you click Submit, as long as you've selected a motion type, you will have dates in your Select a Hearing Date box in this Request a Hearing Date section, as you see in the upper left screenshot. You're going to scroll through and select the date that you're requesting. And once you select a date, you will have one or more times in the Select a Hearing Time box, as you see in the lower right screenshot here. Once you've selected your date and your time, you're going to click Save and submit that date and time request to the clerk's office. Once we accept your filing, the hearing date and time that you selected will be stamped on the documents that are returned to you via email and in your e-file dashboard. In summary, I just would like to summarize the changes as we know them today. If we were to continue scheduling motions the way we did pre-COVID, domestic violence and domestic relations will now be located together in the same location, domestic relations. Domestic violence will no longer be a separate location. And this is again for the civil part of domestic violence, the orders of protection, the OP case numbers, stalking no contact order, civil no contact order, those items will be located under domestic relations. The motion types will no longer be in the case cross-reference section. They will be now located in the filing section once you select a motion-related filing code. And there are additional motion types now depending on your case type and possibly who is filing the motion. So please be sure that you're reading through that entire list of motion types and selecting the one that pertains to the case that you are filing into and your filing status. Thank you, Clerk Brown.
Thank you, Sue. I'd just like to, there's one question that someone put in the chat, I think that directly relates to what you just talked about, if we can answer that now. It says, how should emergency motions in District 1 domestic relations be categorized? They said they didn't see DR emergency hearings as an option.
Unless something again changes with the new directions prior to COVID, they were not scheduling emergency motions via e-filing. They e-file them. And Latasha, if you'd like to discuss better the procedure of how those were handled, but they're not scheduled through e-filing. So there is no motion type for those e-filings. They're e-filed, but not scheduled. And Latasha, do you want to give more information how they're heard?
Natasha, for emergency motions.
Perhaps she can't unmute.
Okay, we'll come back to that. If she can just be prepared to answer that question when we come back to that. Now, I'd like to bring your attention to the public access for civil data. Ms. Lisa Dardell, who is the project manager, and I just want to really let you all know, Ms. Dardell will be retiring, but she has been with the clerk's office for a number of years, and she is our guru when it comes to our website, our mobile app, our e-police system, all the different public-facing systems that you see. Ms. Lisa Dardell has led that effort, and she has championed and actually personally programmed many of the things. Lisa?
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Well, I'm very excited to tell you the way that you're going to be searching for domestic relations case information from our current public website and our in-house digital access kiosk, and just to tell you how that kind of access will change. So if we take a look at the first slide, you'll see our public website as we have it today. And the image that's shown in the upper left-hand corner shows how you'll click any of our available links to our case search, such as the action item listed there highlighted at the top banner. And that's going to redirect your web browser to the case search landing page, which is shown in the lower left-hand image there. Now, when you click on domestic relations or say any of the other civil search case links, you'll be redirected to our CCC portal application. And here you'll be able to click on Smart Search to begin your case search. So now if we look at the second slide, this kind of shows how it's going to look with our digital access terminal. So it's going to be the same interface that you see today. However, when you click on civil case link, you again will be redirected to our new CCC portal application. And once again, you'll click on Smart Search to begin your case search. Now, on the next slide, after you click on Smart Search from the dashboard on the CCC portal, you'll be able to perform a global search across all divisions and case types. Now, what this means is that when you search by a party by name, your search results will include everything from domestic relations, probate, law, chancery, civil, and county, as well as criminal. So yes, you heard me right. I said criminal. So an exciting feature for this new search site is when this system goes live, users will be able to access criminal case data from our public website without having to actually come into our offices. Now, again, the global search feature is really great because you don't have to know like what division the case is being heard in order to be able to search for it, or basically to be restricted to only searching one division at a time. Now, the basic search will allow you to either search by case number or name. And in order to aid successfully in searching for your case, the system will allow for wildcard searching. Now, wildcards can be used to assist in finding your search results by using an asterisk to represent one or more characters in the last and first name. And then the wildcard functionality can also be used in searching by case number with some limitation. Now, for the attorneys who currently have logins to access elevated criminal case data through our private attorney portal, civil case information will automatically be included within your search abilities. Now, it's worth noting that your elevated access will provide you a little bit more information, say, than the public anonymous access will for criminal and for civil information. Now, on the next slide, because of the fact that results are limited to the top 200 matches, there may be the necessity for searching, like, for instance, for common names. You might have to filter your search in order to narrow down your search result. Now, this is called an advanced search. And when you click on a link, the link that says advanced search filters is shown highlighted at the top. The additional filter options will be displayed. Now, one of these filters is by location. And this is used to filter your searches by including a location, which is like the division name, as opposed to searching across all divisions, as I talked about before, with the global search. Now, the different options for this location filter will be displayed in a drop-down list as shown in the upper right-hand image on your screen here. Now, another method for fine-tuning your search is by selecting a different search type. Now, as I mentioned before, the Smart Search allows you to search by case number or by name. However, Filter by Search Type option allows you to search by other values such as ARDC number, attorney name, business name, alias, party name, even case cross-reference number, as Sue was talking about before, by putting in the attorney number, and much more. Now, these two filters can be combined to really narrow down your search results. Now, on the next slide, you'll see that another feature of CCC Portal Search is the ability to use a SoundX type search by checking the Sound Like option as indicated here on the slide. Now, as with any tool that searches on names, many common surnames come in a variety of spelling. Many of these variations are results of data entry, cultural differences in spelling, transliteration errors. But in any case, looking for an exact match will often result in not finding the name being sought. So by checking this option in the advanced search, your results will include all names that sound like the name that's being searched for. Like, there are so many instances where attorneys or even self-represented litigants come in and they don't know the proper spelling of the party name. So the Sound Like option will allow the person to be able to find the name they're looking for based on standard Soundex matching rules. Now, on the next slide, you'll see that once you perform your search, the search results of this, the results of the search rather, will display matching records with some brief information. If you could go to the next slide so we can show that. And so it'll be shown in a grid. Thank you. It'll be shown in a grid here, and you can take a look at where the highlighted area is. That's the case number. So you'll have a list of your results listed here. And then when you want to look at details of that case, all you have to do is click on that case number. So if you go to the next slide, what happens is once you click on that case number, a new browser tab will open with detailed information of the selected case. Now, opening this information in a new tab is a real nice benefit because you can always go back to your original search results tab and select a different case. If you're wanting to view like maybe multiple case details at once. So this will allow you to be able to toggle your browser tab between the two open cases that you're looking at in the detailed windows. So detailed information about the case will include case summary, general case information such as status of case, case type, assignment information. If you look at the next screen, it'll also show party information and their attorney information, and then events and orders or activities of the case in reverse chronological order. So this reverse chronological order will allow you to view the most recent activity on the top of the list instead of having to scroll all the way through the bottom. Now, one last feature that I think you will find a nice benefit is that this page will allow you to view all activities on a single screen and will allow you to generate a well-structured PDF document with all the detailed information about the case that you can either print out or you can save it electronically for your records. So I really think you'll find this new search application very helpful and easy to use. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Clerk Brown. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Lisa. It's a pleasure seeing all the hard work that you have put forth this system. Now we're going to present to you information concerning electronic notice. Now, I need to make sure that you understand the difference between electronic case management notice and e-service. We at the clerk's office only deal with electronic case management notices. Now, as it relates to e-service, that is something that you do between yourself and the other party. And the Supreme Court did amend that rule for attorneys. You can either use the e-file manager for e-service, or you have to email it to them. For self-represented litigants, they still have the option of opting out from using e-filing, being served by electronically, to actually being served by mail or personal service. So I just wanted to make that information clear. And so now we're going to bring to you our general counsel, who has been working with the clerk's office for, I believe, over 20 years. She has been used to be the chief deputy clerk for the Investor Relations Division. So it's an honor to have her to be on tonight to talk to you about electronic notices. Ms. Kelly Smeltzer. Kelly?
Thank you, Clerk Brown, and good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to bring, we wanted to bring to your attention the amendments that were made to Supreme Court Rules 11 and 131. As mentioned, they became effective as soon as they were amended on July 15, 2020. Rule 11 already stated and required that attorneys must include emails on all the pleadings that they file in court. However, the rule was changed recently to now require that self-represented litigants also, if they have an email, must also include that email on address on the appearance and all pleadings that they file in court, and to which documents and notices will be served in conformance with Rule 131D. The Illinois Supreme Court, when they amended this rule, provided committee comments and said that when a self-represented litigant has provided an email address to the court pursuant to subparagraph B, courts retain discretion to determine if an alternative method of service of documents or notices, either in addition to or instead of email, is needed. In addition, the Supreme Court's comments include that they amended Rule 131 to expand email address requirement to self-represented litigants in the service of electronically filed documents. Previously, the rule required that attorneys, all documents filed or served in any cause by an attorney upon another party shall bear the attorney's name, business address, email address, and telephone number. The attorney must designate a primary email address and may designate no more than 2 secondary email addresses. Rule 131 was amended on July 15th to now require that self-represented litigants, all documents filed or served in any cause by a self-represented litigant upon another party shall bear the self-represented litigant's mailing address and telephone number, Additionally, if a self-represented litigant who has an email address must designate a single email address to which service may be directed under Rule 11. If a self-represented litigant does not designate an email address, then service upon that party must be made by a method specified in Rule 11 other than email transmission. As we stated earlier, this rule, as well as Rule 11, was amended to include self-represented litigants. These rules, working in concert, will make it easier to notify and serve self-represented litigants electronically in documents filed with the court. In other words, going forward, attorneys and self-represented litigants will receive electronic notice or e-notice for case management notices to the email addresses that you have used to register with the clerk's office for e-filing. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next, we're going to have question and answer. We have a few questions that remain unanswered, so I'm going to ask all of our panelists to unmute themselves. I'm also going to ask our Assistant Chief Deputy Clerk, Ms. Tariah Clay, to unmute herself and share her video. She's been helping us to answer questions all along. And I want to make sure, do a sound check with Ms. Latasha McGarry to make sure that we can hear her. Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Ms. Clay and Ms. McGarry.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay. Okay, so someone asked the question, when two attorneys from different law firms are the filing attorneys for a new case, will both attorneys be shown on the presenting petition when it's e-filed? And that's an e-filing type question. I'm pretty sure, and that usually whoever the attorney is who is actually doing the e-filing would appear as the presenting attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct, Clerk Brown. It'll be whoever is representing that petitioner is generally one attorney that will go on that filing.
Mm-hmm. And only one attorney is actually doing the e-filing.
Correct.
So that's the one that will appear. Okay. They wanted to know, how do you contact the court coordinator for a particular calendar or division administrator to schedule a motion? That's during this time while the judges are scheduling them directly. How do they go about doing that? How can they find that information?
So they can find out that information if, one, they call our office, or two, they can go to our website where that information has been provided with a list of all the judges as well as the coordinators, and they will be able to email that coordinator, prospective coordinator, to that that's assigned to their case.
Okay. Is that information also on the Chief Judge's website, the Circuit Court of Cook County?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. You can also go to the Circuit Court of Cook County's website and get that information.
Yes.
Okay. We have an e-filing question, but we'll save that one and we'll have the e-filing team to answer that question later on. Okay, I want to answer this question concerning viewing filed documents online. Of course, you have, I know that you're interested in seeing documents of other individuals and not just documents you filed yourself, because you obviously have your own file. Plus, you want to see documents filed in other cases and not just the case that you are in, because of course you get served them, or you either have your own electronically. So the question becomes, how can you see the documents for other cases that you are not an attorney or a party of? Currently, the Supreme Court does not permit that. However, we are working with the Supreme Court on a project called Research Illinois, and we are one of the testing agencies. And with that, they're going to permit different groups, I believe starting with attorneys, to be able to see and view documents and even print them out. And for all the clerks of courts around the country, around the state that is a part of Research Illinois, it is their plan to have documents filed with all 102 counties available in Research Illinois. And so that should be rolling out sometime this fall. Okay, there's another e-filing question. Okay, Latasha, they were asking the question about how an emergency motion is filed at this point, and Sue wanted to throw that question to you because she did not think you can file an emergency through the e-filing system.
Basically, the emergency motion is not scheduled through the e-file system. What happens is the litigants, when they are uploading their document, it already have the date and time as to when they want the emergency to be heard.
Okay. So when they filed, when they were also indicating that there was no category that indicated that it was an emergency motion. So what should they be indicating, or what should they be selecting to let people know that it's an emergency motion?
Well, right now, because again, what Judge Dickler spoke on, that there are no scheduling that's being done for domestic relation, they're also to follow that procedure of contacting a coordinator and letting the coordinator know that they have an emergency. They have to file it first, although it's not allowing them to select a date, and that's for regular motions as well. They file the document, get the file stamp, then they contact the coordinator by email, who would then provide them a court date.
Okay.
If I could add to Latasha's answer.
Yes, please.
So there's a difference between, I think there may be a little bit of confusion between the filing code and the motion type. So there is a filing code in the filing code dropdown that says emergency motion, as there is today. There's just not a motion type for emergency motion because you cannot schedule those via the e-filing system, and you weren't able to schedule those prior to COVID either. So that's the difference. You still are going to select the filing code emergency motion. There's just no motion type because you will not be scheduling them via e-filing, if that clears that up a bit.
So is that filing code, that's when you're filing the motion, you're selecting that filing code?
Correct.
Okay. So it's a filing code, it's just not a motion type.
Correct.
So once you select that filing code, you should be, it will be indicated as an emergency motion. Okay. So they want a clarification on firm code versus having your own code. So they said, so no more firm codes. Does each attorney need their own code? That's the attorney code for, if there would be no more firm codes, or are there firm codes?
To my understanding, they'll still be able to use the same 5-digit attorney or firm code that we use today for scheduling purposes. But I do believe for registration purposes, and I may want to defer that to Christian, for registration purposes, an attorney may need their own attorney code or ARDC number. But I'm not 100% sure on the registration portion.
Yeah, the state of Illinois requires attorneys to register with the e-filing portal with their ARDC number only. Yeah.
Yes. So for the e-filing portion, you will register with your attorney, your ARDC number, and then when you get into our system and you're filing a case, you will then put in either firm attorney, Cook County attorney code, or an attorney Cook County attorney code. Okay. Now this is more of a legal question than they were asked, and we may have to hold this one to the end, but I'll read it. It says, when one is appearing on a limited basis as a court-appointed contempt attorney, how does their information note that they are the attorney for a limited purpose? And so we'll hold that one and have our general counsel office to research that. I'm not sure. I don't think our document will indicate that you're just for a limited purpose, but I believe that you filed something indicating that you're there for a limited purpose. Okay, they say currently when we submit certain motions, such as motion to appoint special process server, the judge's coordinator states that we are to obtain the entered copy from the clerk But when we ask the clerk, we are told to obtain from the judge's coordinator. This has happened on numerous files. How do we obtain what we need? Now, let me clarify this. There has been some confusion in this regard. There are some judges who have asked their coordinators to return the document back to the litigants or attorneys. And there are some judges who've asked the clerk's office, court clerks, to return the documents back. And that has caused some confusion. So I have put some procedures in place to ensure that the court coordinator, if the judge's coordinator, if they're responsible for sending the document back, the order back, that they CC the clerk's office with that document so that if you contact us, we're able to, number one, know that the document has been sent out to you, and number two, forward you an additional copy. Sometime maybe the email bounce back or something of that nature. I'm also putting a process in place so that we know that whether the judge's coordinator is responsible or the clerk's office is responsible, and we're able to properly communicate that if in fact we're called. During the pandemic and the process of putting the Zoom technology in place, yes, there has been a lot of things a lot of challenges that we have faced, but know that we are working very diligently with the judiciary to ensure that everyone receives their court orders properly and in a timely manner. Okay, now they wanted to know, Latasha, what if we can't get a hold of a judge's coordinator via email or telephone to schedule a prove-up? What are they to do?
Well, generally, if a person cannot get in contact with the coordinator or through the email, we ask them to continue to try to reach out to them. Otherwise, they are to reach out to the administrator, which is Nairi, who is charged over the coordinators, and I can provide that number in the chat.
Okay, can you provide it now? Do you have it, or provide it in? Can you provide it now, or look that up and give it to us before we come off, since everyone in here, since Nairi's number is accessible to everyone. And someone was saying that it wasn't that they were looking at trying to see other documents, if they wanted to see documents in cases in which they are in. Currently, for our system, the only way that you can see documents for any case would be through our public access terminals, which are in our office. We decided to utilize the Research Illinois, and we've been working with them to make our documents available to the public. Okay, and then I think maybe the answer that I gave concerning orders is for the individual that says that their office is still experiencing delays in getting entered orders from the coordinators after proposed order has been submitted. Is there a typical waiting period to expect? The delays have been seen more in suburban districts. And so you should be receiving them back on the same day, no later than the next day. But as I said earlier, we are working with the judiciary to expedite, to ensure that judges coordinators are getting orders back in a timely fashion, as well as my staff. We have put an audit process in for orders. And so for every call sheet, we are documenting prior to our leaving the office whether or not that order has been properly sent back, either by the court clerk or the coordinator. And if it has not, we will be notifying the presiding judge, and my management staff will also be notified as to the fact that that order has not, we at the clerk's office has not received a carbon copy saying that the coordinator has sent it back, or or for whatever reason, our court clerk did not receive it so that we could actually send it back. So we're working on getting that whole process made more efficient. Now they said a potential client calls and wants me to replace the attorney. Can I view what has been filed? Can the client? Yes, well, we have appointment only, by appointment, and actually now that we've moved into a little bit more, you can actually come to the clerk's office. There's a limited number of spaces, of course, and so you may have to wait a minute because we have social distancing in our public areas, and so you may have to wait a little bit, but we'll let you in when public access terminals become available. We've also limited uses of public access terminals that are right next to each other to protect you and also to protect our employees. So you can come to the clerk's office and you can view and print out, receive a copy of all the documents. And if you do not want to come to the clerk's office, you can send an email to our service email address, which you can get off of our website, to request a copy of that entire file, and we can then email that file to you once you pay the proper copy fee, of course. Okay. Okay. Regarding both attorneys appearing on our document, that is something that we will log and determine what the possibilities are there. He indicates, since the Supreme Court rules provides that filing a complaint constitutes an appearance by the attorney for the party, how do we get your filing system to recognize both attorneys from different firms, in other words, sole practitioners, whose names appear on the petition? Okay, so we'll provide that answer to you when we send back the answers to the questions. Okay, where do we find the phone numbers for these schedulers, or for all of the coordinators in the different courtrooms that are scheduling motions right now? You would get that off of, as Latasha said, you would get that off of the judges, Chief Judge's Circuit Court of Cook County website, or off of our website. Okay, now this is an e-file question, so we'll have to, they want to know why their particular document was rejected. So this is an e-file question, and we'll answer that for you. Concerning your motion, filing a motion and then contacting the coordinator, they said that their motion was immediately rejected, even though they filed a motion and then they contacted the coordinators for not having a court date, Latasha. So if that is the case, then we need to make sure that our accept and reject persons are properly notified that they should not be rejecting them because there's no. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, let's see. Can you use another provider other than ODYSSEY going forward? Yes, you may. You can use any e-file service provider. Just like you can now, you will be able to use any e-file service provider that is available. And someone says that, I thought to schedule an emergency motion, it had to be to judge coordinators by noon. Is that not correct? Whatever time period the judiciary is giving you, we are not changing any of that today. Also, we may not have a file copy at that time. What should we do, as it was previously said that we must submit a file stamp copy to file for the motion? Okay, Latasha, if they're filing an emergency motion, they're contacting the judge's coordinator, they need to contact us so that we can accept that document. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. That filing should be accepted within that day, if not the next day, depending on if it has been filed on a Friday, then we would definitely be accepting that on Monday.
Okay, but he's talking about an emergency motion that has to be scheduled by noon. And so if you have an emergency motion that you have to contact the judge's coordinator by noon, and the judge's coordinator wants a stamped copy, then they need to be in contact with our office to let us know that that is an envelope that we need to accept right away.
Yes, and that's generally what happens, Clerk Brown, is if an attorney knows that they're going to court that day and they need it at such time of period, we'll go ahead and accept that envelope when they contact us, if it hasn't been done.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and someone is asking again about receiving court orders in a timely fashion. And I think that I explained to them the challenges that we've had and the procedures that we're putting in place. And okay, so we have come to the end of this webinar. Let me talk about the CLE and how you will receive that. Now, the CLE that you will receive from this webinar, as I said, it will be for 1 hour. What we have determined is that the CLE board requires us to send the entire record of everyone that registered today. And we will send that, once we send that to them, they will then forward us your certificate for us to then forward to you. So it takes a little time for us to receive those certificates directly from the CLE board. But once we receive them, we will forward them to you. If you are an attorney that actually attended the county division, we did receive those certificates from the board, and we were in the process of emailing those out. They are personalized, so they must be emailed out one at a time. And we had over 900 attorneys that actually attended that particular seminar, so you can see what the challenges will be in that regard. But you will receive your CLE certificate. For now, you can use as evidence that you attended your email notification that you were registered for this CLE. Next is the final listing of the civil cases and areas of law and the webinars that we will be having. The civil division will be this Thursday, August 27th. The law division will be next Monday, August 31st. And the suburban district, all 5 suburban districts, will be Thursday, September 3rd. We will be forwarding out and scheduling the traffic division sometimes during the month of September. Our contact information is on the next slide. You can contact our office at 312-603-5030. And then you can also contact us through our website, cookcountyclerkofcourt.org. And on our website, there are email addresses for each one of our divisions. We have the ability for you to pay remotely. We have the ability for you to contact us through our service email and request various services. Of course, you can always come in, but we prefer you to contact us electronically. Finally, the bios for each of our dynamic panelists, including the Honorable Judge Grace Dickler, are attached, and you can view those at your convenience. So I see that we have several questions that are remaining to be answered, and so we will be forwarding these questions to the proper parties and getting those answers, and then we will forward those that information to you. And thank you, C. John McCauley, for saying that this was very well done and great improvements. And so, good evening to all of you, and thank you for being with us for the new case management system for the domestic relations divisions. Thank you.